I've been alone for 3 years, and actually, am I alone? I'm a highly sensitive person. I started reading a lot, taking courses online. I don't think I'm getting dementia. I think I'm improving. I was an introvert all my life, and it was common in those days for your parents to try to make you less introverted. And then I started reading highly sensitive people books by them, and I started realizing that's who I am, and a lot of us are. And when I traveled across Canada, I met a lot of very sensitive people. They're very intelligent, and that's when I decided to be a life coach and study psychology and understand. Some people work better alone. I was going to all these psychologists, and I finally found in Toronto that was an industrial psychologist. They did tests on my IQ and everything. I lived life better alone. I went to college and I went out in the country. I stayed there and I wrote and I got good marks alone. It was the homework that was the big kicker in my life. When I'm slow and meticulous and I read Brindleberry, I love his books. And I see other people on here talking about this slow life of being a sensitive, enjoying books and learning. A lot of the stuff on social media is fiction. I started realizing that the world's made up of opinions, but not many truths. So I started discerning truth. And I'm very progressive. I do energy work. I'm a grandmaster in Reiki, but it's my sensitivity. And all my life, even the woman I married years ago, what did I gain from it? Well, my eyes are bad. I learned the art of listening. I read nothing but audiobooks. I love audiobooks. And my mother was, I think, a very sensitive woman. She was World War II uh, Australian Army, where I'm going back to. I'm going to go back to Australia and live in a smaller area. I like smaller towns. Um, when I was traveling out west, I heard a man say to me, an older man, he had a ranch. I don't understand, my boy. We got everything out here on the ranch. We got Wi Fi, we got cellular. Why do you want to go into the city where all the drug addicts are, where all the fast life is? Got horses out here, got a simple life. When I was traveling through Alberta and the small communities, you know what I liked? The libraries were full of children, not drug addicts, getting off the streets. And these were the vestiges of reading and learning and good parenting and good values. The small communities in Canada are the blessings that have the small libraries. This library here, I fall asleep. There's too many homeless people and too many drug addicts shooting up in the bathrooms. I'm not running down people. I'm saying our society got to a point where we couldn't discern anything, social media or anything, in our medical systems. So I'm pro natural health. My mother taught me that. We kept on reading on natural health and all the new findings and all the things that make you well. And 68, I walked 45 miles a day. Well, I'm lying. I'll be not a fiction writer. 65, I walked 45 miles in one day. And I can do these things. And you can too. I gave up driving. I started seeing the car is not a real necessity. I like driving. I still got a driver's license. I can wait. Then if I go back to driving, I'll do more walking. The way I think a city should be is have the cars away from the central hub. Why use them to go outside the areas? Walk everywhere. Walk down, get a newspaper, breathe the air, enjoy walking. So I read Henry David Thoreau's Walt Whitman and all those classics. I love them. And I started reading Wendell Berry, American, and I can remember the typewriter. I like the typewriter in a way, but in my Luddite, I use an iPhone. But there's no social media on it, people. And it's an iPhone. It's got Udemy and all the cloud courses. But why should I talk on here? I'll tell you, there's scammers and there's crooks and they peace. Dishonest people. They'll always be using it. And why should I put up with that when I can fill my life up with journaling? Yeah, I journal every day. Wake up in the morning and all these ideas are coming to me. I'm creative. And I look at creativity as a part of being sensitive and being spiritual and finding and creating things. It was Napoleon Hill talking about a sexual energy. Well, sexuality creates things. Music, songwriter, music composer. I'm an instrumentalist. I love what I do. I play piano, I play guitar, I play keyboards, I play bass, I play everything. There's 60 years of discovering myself. I kept on trying and learning things. Never give up learning. Like we look at education as a means to an end to get a career. It's not the end. It's the beginning. Every day. I go out, I learn meditation. Where does it bless me? Well, I'm walking down the street and there's a young guy comes up. I got for a bar, did you? And his buddy's puking in the alleyway. And I'm not judging him. But I'm an environmentalist and I can't really listen to this green scamming, that solar voltaic. You have to read more. But you're leading the greenwashing of electric cars. I think that'll be great. They're out already. And I don't think they're as bad as the tar sands. And if I watch social media, I see the truckers' convoys. It's the only thing that's ever done that to me is saying I want to go to Australia and live, and or England. England's expensive right now, but I'm part British and part Australian. I love the quieter, slower life. There's parts of Australia I've been to that are very nice. And I think I do better there. And my mother was Australian. But what have I learned and gained with books? So much. More knowledge. If you can take an audiobook. Like when I was going to college, it was all lectures, right? Audiobooks are a great way to learn and write down what you're learning. Write down in journals and little things that you can write on. So the iPhone's got I'm going to get a stylus for it and write on it. But I write in Evernote. I have Evernote. I have Day One Journal. I'm not a Luddite. And I'd like to get a stylus so I can write and put things down. I've been really studying Carl Westport's blogs on this digital minimalism. And I keep on thinking of how externalities in this Keynesian economics don't seem to fit me well. You know, I read a book on dumpster diver. It's a part of our ego, the way they were marketing. When I was in college, we studied marketing in 1970s. Now, somebody said, ha, 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 the 70s wasn't anything. Well, the computers were very, not the computing power now, but they were good that we learned neuro-linguistic language. The way to communicate to a computer is the way to study a psychology that we gain from neurolinguistics of understanding. Is that so bad? I mean, I love intelligent people. I love people that are well educated and well versed, and younger people. And here's what I notice, and I have conversations in pubs and bars and stuff. Men that go and take it might not be. It's a foundation. Everything's a foundation. Dad always taught me to get a trade. I never did. I went into the horse business. I was resistant to my dad's advice. But I look at the people in universities at these high student debt levels, and they've been 8 years studying these courses, like being a lawyer. That's what he said. 8 years. I bought a house and I've made a lot of money. All I was a carpenter, like Jesus Christ was. But he says, I don't quit learning. I'm educated in what I learn online or reading in books, and my foundation's there. Universities now are accolade schools, unfortunately. We're starting to learn there's more than one type of intelligence. Emotional intelligence is one key thing, and a spiritual intelligence. A very spiritual understanding of life. Look, I got piano on there. I play chords and learn piano. You know, there's more things I forgot. I remember I could read music notation when I was playing guitar. I went back to tablature. I got to learn it all over again. You know, I know a woman that fell off a horse, really injured herself in Australia. She had to get an instructor, and she's in her 70s and she's riding. And she's talking about the word tenacity. Now, I could get so poignant and say, oh, us old people. Some of us are very stuck. I'm very open minded. And reading Napoleon Hill, I always give a person to listen. Listen to new ideas, new concepts. The world is so drastically changing. The emotional intelligence will be the field to take us with decisions forward. We need a spiritual, ethical foundation to move forward creatively, and listening to people is respectful, listening to everyone. If I didn't listen to children, I'd forget. If I didn't listen to people with Down syndrome, I never learn happiness. Because it seems like they're so happy, they don't have all these problems like we do. And look at this phone, it goes out. Why? Because it's if I go to the settings here, I can leave it on, turn the power supply off on the battery, and let it stay on. Like there. I just click that off. I wouldn't know that unless I was studying how the iPhone keeps changing. So, I use a Reiki box. I've been really back into studying Reiki. I put a bunch of crystals in here, intuitive. But I was wondering, writing down what I'm trying to manifest. I went into the dollar store across the road. I bought these little wee mini notebooks. That fits in there. I write things down. What I want to manifest. I had this art of manifestation years ago. My wife said to me, I'd like a piano. Oh, I'm going to read on manifestation. I had a piano in the house, it wasn't new. It was used. I found it, and it was in the house in 2 weeks. Things were changing. So these books were written years ago, like Dale Carnegie, Napoleon Hill. These are power keys of intention. Our society is too much negativity. I quit TV. At 9 numbed, and it's always the negatives of life. Got them down. I'm not that way. If you break the law, and I was listening to a book by Dr. David Hawkins. People that take pleasure in watching other people go down are taking on their karma. And I think he's absolutely right. Like watching a guillotine. Oh, you're not chopping his head off, but you're part of the karmatic justification of that. And having pleasure seeing others suffer. So television's the same way. And so is social media. Yeah, attacking other groups. So we're forming collective ties to this. I heard a man on LinkedIn. He says, "You'll never learn sales of a book. Read Dale Carnegie. Read Napoleon Hill. If you want tough sales, sell real insurance. At the time, insurance was a tough sale. You'll learn a lot by reading books. I got the Dale Carnegie Master Course on here. Know how many hours of reading it is? 18 hours audio lectures. Am I going to get something out of it? Of course. It eradicates goes over one ritual on top of another. And it builds a cognitive function of selling and being successful in business. And it puts God into the equation. Like the United States was always formulated on in God we trust. We get separate. We call it liberty. Liberty under God. Because God is liberty. But your liberty is my liberty, not theirs. And I got very upset today. I was reading Mother Jones, and it said all people. She's a senator under Biden. I'm getting partisan here, but she's 87 years old, and they were saying she shouldn't be talking. She's got dementia. Everybody at 87's got dementia. And then I started realizing the ones blaming boomers, and they were watching this stuff on social media, the millennials were listening to this stuff. It's from the Tea Party movement that we weren't really much for this highly toxic capitalism. The slower movement we were for. You come back and you go out and you come back again. You remember what was good in your life. Everything has an advantage to it. I'm divorced from a marriage. What did I learn? I married a blind woman. Oh, I worked with service dogs. I learned how animals communicate and work with blind people. I learned a lot. Now, some people would say things like, oh, you're a special type of guy. Nobody would marry a blind woman. And what did I learn? She wasn't blind until she was older. She had glaucoma. It was juvenile. And what I learned that learning Braille is an awful hard skill. When they came out with audio books and Daisy books and stuff from the Canadian, she could read. And she was well versed, and we could have conversations. He was an interim leader of the Liberals. And his wife had eyes problems. He read Dostoevsky, the whole entire book to her every night. I read books to her. Reading for your children. Beautiful. So I was in the library one day, and this young child's got dyslexia. And you always learn from listening. She says, I'm learning to read a new way. I read to dog. They're giving me a reading dog. And I start looking up, and here's these children relaxing and going into kennels and reading to dogs. Because dogs don't put judgment on a child. And there's always something to learn. So, that was my idea. I was thinking, I'm writing in these, and I put the symbolisms in the box, but there's still paper all over the place. Little notepads, mini composition books. And I was thinking I go into bars and I'm going to write a song lyric because I'm very creative. Hearing some muse, people are interesting. You have a few drinks and they start looking like people that you remember in music industry. Like guy looks like Zappa. And you get talking to them and you tell a young guy he looks like Frank Zappa. He likes that. It's a compliment. So I write things down and I come up with song lyrics and put them in these little notebooks. What's it take to buy a pen like that? It writes all right. I think this one I put for the watch. This one's better. I don't think it went for the wash. Yeah, so I just write it. And I find comfort in writing, scrolling, note taking, and being creative. I go downtown, there's street pianos down there. That's what I found all over Canada. I could make money just play a little bit of piano. I love playing piano. I've been playing guitar since 1966. And I listen to people talking that are musicians. I've never got on to fingerstyle. Phone, these fingers, you learn it. Takes time. Doesn't come easy. It doesn't come easy. It comes easy when you quit thinking about how hard it is. All of a sudden you're doing it. Piano's the same thing. You're playing music, polyphonic music, left hand, right hand, different movements. It's wonderful, and you're always learning. You're always learning with music. But see, I just clicked out of here. I